Hello, I'm Matt and welcome to Badger Workshop. I want to talk about making thin rips on the table saw. Now, I saw Waffles on Instagram do a story about it the other week. I put a link to it below. It's in his highlighted stories. So I thought I'd give you my thoughts on it. So probably the best way to make thin rips is to use a thin ripping jig. Now this one, because my table saw doesn't have standard 90 slots, doesn't fit. But how it would work, say you want to rip something, it's about 5 centimetres. So you move that down, move it so your piece of wood touches the bearing on there, tighten your fence up and pass it through the saw. Then with that cut across, you can then move this bit of wood against the bearing again, move your fence again, make the cut and keep moving your fence and you're at the same piece each time. And that works great because you can have your push stick and have it going through between the blade and the fence. Now this works up until the point where you don't have much material left, you're all the way over here. Now the other way to do thin rips, if you want to do 5mm, is just set your fence to the 5mm and push the material through. The trouble is, you can't push your plastic push stick through. Well, you probably could, and mine certainly has some gouges out where it's touched the blade, but it's not something you really want to do. So what is better is to have a wooden push stick that goes through, because you don't want kickback. Now, I'm going to be naughty and push this through now and push it through holding this bit instead of supporting the bit between the blade and the fence, and we'll see what happens. I'm going to stand well out of the way, but what can potentially happen is this slither can get caught behind the blade and fling back. Of course, when you try and get it to do it, it doesn't work, but the workpiece has got caught between the blade and the fence, so if I just give it a push, it will fly off. So let's try and make a wooden push stick instead. So I've got this scrap of 18mm ply, and it's going to be a very basic design this. I'm just going to draw the bottom bit, the thickness of my ruler, and then I need a handle coming out the top. And use this can of WD-40 just to draw around to round off the corners at the end of the push stick, and more importantly the handle. And then take it to the bandsaw and cut it out. The bottom cut is a nice straight line, so I'm going to use the fence and then I can remove it and cut the handle piece. I cut those roundovers on the bandsaw as well. You want the push stick to be comfortable in the hand so you'll actually use it. Now the back of the push stick needs a block to actually be able to grip onto the piece of wood. Now I could have cut that notch in on the bandsaw, but I prefer to cut them down separately so when they get chewed up they can be replaced. I give it all a sand down and round over the corners a bit on the handle bit to make it even more comfortable. So this little block is the bit that's going to hook over a piece of wood that you want to push through. So I'm just going to drill and countersink some holes and then it can be attached to the push stick. Now we can give it a test. I can push it through the blade, supporting the thin bit the whole time so it can't get caught and kick back at me. I think this is a safer way of doing it, and I think these push sticks are just more comfortable to use. So that's made a couple of nice, thin, equal ribs. You can see I've taken a little bit out of there. So while I was cutting them, I cut a couple of spare, so after a couple of months when that gets really chewed up, I can replace that. I've made this too long, I think, really for my saw, so I'm probably going to cut a bit off that. But I think it's much better than one of those. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe for more videos.